guest, and it's General Doug Brown. General Brown retired a few years ago after a 40-year career with the United States Army, beginning as a private infantryman, after which he joined the U.S. Special Forces A-Team and then on to Green Berets. He had tours in Vietnam, Desert Storm, Desert Shield, was commander of just about every group that seemed like I could recognize of companies, battalions, regiments all over the country in Vietnam and in Korea, extremely distinguished, and concluded his career as the commander of United States Special Forces for Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines, kind of on planet Earth, essentially, kind of everywhere. And since his retirement, he's taken on this as one of his commitments and is chairman of this organization. So it's my pleasure and honor to introduce General Brown.
Well, first, let me thank you for having this at your home, and we really appreciate it. It's great, and we're sorry Willie can't be here. Maybe I could give him a call in a few days after he gets well, sure. And thank him again for everything he's done. It's great to be here. Congressman, it's great to see you, especially when I'm not sitting on the other side of a microphone. Which I did a lot, and I'm not going to tell those war stories tonight. First of all, I want to talk about a couple things real quick, and I promise I won't be long. I have talked on top of tables before, but usually after more than one beer. I want to talk about, first of all, I want to acknowledge all the Gold Star families that are here. Special Operations Warrior Foundation, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, exists to help the Gold Star family. So for all of you that are here tonight, thanks very much. We love seeing you again, and we love having you here. I want to talk about the Green Berets, the 5th Special Forces Group. They are Special Forces soldiers. The first thing I'd tell you is not everybody gets to sign up and make it. You see a lot about the SEAL selection process. I want you to know, and I used to run that when I was the Army Special Ops Commander, I want you to know that about 25% of the people that sign up to come down and be a Green Beret actually make it. So the guys you're seeing here tonight, and they're hidden in civilian appearing clothes, but the truth is these are the finest that we have. Okay, our Army picks these guys, they come down there, they volunteer, they go through an incredible course. Often takes them about a year to get through it. About 25% of them will make it through. We orient on decision making. We orient on small teams out by themselves, remotely, no other Americans around them. You know, the night of the 19th of October in 2001, when you got up the next morning, you turned on your television, you saw a picture of Army Rangers jumping into an airfield called Rhino. We did a couple of hits that night. We did an incredible helicopter assault that was longer than Doolittle's raid. Okay, we hit these 2 targets that night. We purposely wanted the American people to know that America had gone into Afghanistan and we were going after the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. So we purposely let that film be released so that you could see Army Rangers in action. But let me tell you what you didn't see that night, which is more important. You didn't see a couple of Chinooks from our Special Operations Aviation Regiment, which by the way is also headquartered right up the road at Fort Campbell, the only Special Operations Aviation Regiment in the Department of Defense. It's located up at Fort Campbell, that were infiltrating small teams of these Green Berets. You didn't see that on the press, and we didn't want you to see it. Those are the guys that Doug Stanton wrote that great book about on horse soldiers. And so if you haven't read that book, I'd highly recommend, but just put yourself into these guys' position when they land out there. It's dark, middle of the night, unbelievable infiltration in the back of these amazing helicopters. You step off, you are going, there's no Americans to bail you out. You are going to live by your guile and your cunning and your training that we gave you before you went over there. And you'll read the book, but that's when Mark Nush had the great comments about meeting these guys on horseback and saying it. And the report came back, how is it over there, Mark? And he says, it's kind of like the Jetsons meet the Flintstones. Because these guys have all the high-tech stuff. They've got all the high-tech radios, lasers, all that kind of stuff. But most importantly, they understand that it's about human relations. It's about problem solving. They are not just guys that are going in to stack up bodies. That's what makes them. If there's a Renaissance man in today's military, it's these guys. They understand the battlefield, they understand the culture, they speak the language, and they are absolutely the finest group of guys that I had the opportunity to work with. And I would also tell you that right here, 65 miles up the road, when we started the global war on terror, the central unit that was the cornerstone was the 5th Special Forces Group. They were already Arabic speaking, they already were oriented towards the Middle East, and so starting putting them on the ground was exactly what they were designed to do, and it was the Green Berets, quite frankly, that took down the government in pretty short order. So these are a real special group of guys. I hope while you're here tonight you'll take a chance to talk to them. The battalion commander is here somewhere. I don't see him right now. Commander of 3rd Battalion 5th, Jay Powers, and his wife is here, and Sergeant Major Marsh, the Sergeant Major from 3-5, the 3rd Battalion 5th Special Forces Group are both here. I hope you'll take time to visit with them. I want to talk about this. You know, when I got out, obviously there was a bunch of charities that I could have gone to work for or gone to work with, and they have cropped up in incredible numbers since we started this global war on terror. Special Operations Warrior Foundation has been around for over 30 years. We started in our failure in Desert One, so we've been around a long time. You should know that just a couple months ago we were rated in the top 1% of all charities in America by CharityNavigator.com, which is the watchdog. And I would recommend, if you don't go on Charity Navigator before you give your money to charities, you ought to go on Charity Navigator and just look at the rating for the charity that you're about to support. We don't give out scholarships. We don't give out, people don't write us an essay and we give them the money to go to school. That isn't how it works. We are involved with the children's lives. We keep in contact with them the entire time. We help them when they get ready to go to college. We help them fill out all the forms to make sure they get all the money that they're deserved from the loss of their father or their mother. And so we help them do all that. We have counselors on our staff. You know, we send them off to school. We pay the bills. We make sure they get a computer before they go off. And we pay all the bills for them to make sure they get a great education. You know, when a soldier goes into combat, there's a lot of things he's worried about. And if you've got a family, one of the things that you're really worried about, the rock in your rucksack, is if I don't come home tonight, who's going to take care of my kids? Who's going to send them to college? Who's going to be that nagging parent that kept saying, you got to go to college? Well, we're going to help the remaining family members do that. And we're going to be there and keep in contact and make sure that they have an opportunity to go to college. We've had great success. We've had 231 kids already graduate from college. We have 147 kids in college today we're paying for. 147. So we've got a backlog of, I don't know how many, Edie could tell me, probably about 1,000 of people that are still waiting to go to college, and some of them are in the room tonight. And we're going to make sure we're there for them when their time comes to go to college. The other thing we do, and we stay very narrowly focused on that, but the other thing we do, and then I'll shut up, is if you're wounded, we're going to give you $3,000 immediately. And by the way, I want you to know that when all the press you were reading about the Army not being able to pay the death benefits here recently, very quietly, we just immediately wrote a check for $20,000 grant to every one of those families. Okay, so they immediately got $20,000 from the Special Operations Warrior Foundation to help them to get going. We give them $3,000 immediately to help them. Now, you say, well, that's not very much money. Well, I had the honor of being up in Walter Reed, and when a young man came in who was an Army Ranger, and we take care of all the Army Rangers, Navy SEALs, all the Special Operations Forces, not just the 5th Special Forces Group, but I had the honor of being there when he came in, and I had the $3,000 check. Now I'm handing a $3,000 check to a 19-year-old young lady who has the weight of the world on her shoulders, as she has now got a husband, newly married. She's up there all by herself in the big city, and her husband's in ICU fighting for his life. I handed her that check for $3,000, and she gave me a big hug and started crying. I started crying, and she just said, "You will never understand how much this $3,000 means." And the only reason we're able to do all these great things is because of great folks like you that are willing to contribute to the Special Operations Warrior Foundation and allow us to do the things that are so important, to pay the debt that we made to these people, the promise that we made to every one of these guys before they launch into combat, that we're going to be there if anything happens to you. Thanks a lot for being here tonight, folks.